Hello and welcome to the Year of Shame Challenge podcast year 2. May I take this opportunity to say I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and I'm wishing you all a Happy New Year. And as always, I'm joined by the new and improved 2014 versions of Justin and Colm. Say hello, guys.
How's it going? Hiya.
You alright?
Pretty good. Tired?
How was driving in the Arctic? Sorry, the Arctic Circle, I meant to say.
Honestly, so I got to work today, stepped out of my car, and my nostril hairs froze. Not even a joke. It was minus.
Man, you need to trim those suckers.
It was minus 35. Unbelievable.
It's a good job you're not old enough to have the hairy ears yet, are you?
Yeah. Otherwise, then be deaf.
I'm old enough to have them.
Do you have them now?
Just one or two. I have to trim them now and again.
Oh dear.
So yeah,
well,
it is
as long as you're not, got a cave full of fluff on your ear.
No comment.
Oh no!
Well, stop this talking now and get back to the game.
Anyway.
Yeah, we haven't got snow over here. I don't know if you've got it in Ireland, but it's just gale force winds and rain at the moment.
Yeah, we're on flood warning at the moment, so
yeah. That's all the Irish Sea, because Wales is like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll probably end up on a flood warning at some point when all this ice melts. There's enough of it.
They call it spring.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens in March. Oh my god. Okay, anyway. Typical British, start off by talking about the weather. Let's instead move on to what have we been playing. And Justin, let's start with you today.
Most recently, I have been driving myself mad. Get it? Driving myself. Yeah. I've been playing Grid 2, and it's not a great game, but I finished it. I have finished it. It's one of these games. I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but the main problem you have is the game is set up as like a scenario where you're trying to set up your own, world driving league circuit thing, and you have to go across the different parts of the world and challenge teams that specialise. Like in Japan, they do a lot of drift racing, so you have to go over there and race them in mainly drift races.
Oh, okay.
In America, it's all muscle cars, so you have to drive all these like Mustangs and Challengers and stuff, and Chargers. And then you go to Europe, and you've got mainly four-wheel drive and like Ford Focus and Golfs and stuff like that. But what you have, because it has a very linear approach where it goes, you do all of the USA bit, then you do all the Europe bit, and then you do all the Japan. You just get used to one style of driving, and then it just completely throws it all out the window.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's also one of these ones where you get given a car, a token car to start the season. And you can do car challenges to get other cars, which usually is a case of, complete a course in a certain time. And some of them you can do without any effort whatsoever. And others, you will want to throw your control out the window because of the amount of time you will spend doing it. But once you've found a car that works for you, you'll cane every opposition in every race.
So then it becomes boring, yeah.
Well, it doesn't become boring, but you can then just suddenly streamline through and move on to the next section. So when you get onto like season 4, you supposedly set this league up, and then that's when you start getting all the the McLarens and all the really fast cars. But pretty much, it gives you, or it gave me, the McLaren F1,
Okay,
which is a pretty fast car.
Yeah.
Except that I couldn't drive it because it was sliding all over the place.
Oh.
But then, because it was classed as a drift-style car, kicks the back end out easily.
Yeah.
But then, I can't remember how I did it, but I managed to unlock a Bugatti Veyron, which is classed as a grip style, meaning it will go tail happy if you use your handbrake and stuff like that. But generally speaking, if you hold on to the steering, you can pretty much control it and drive as you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And once I'd done that, that was obviously the driving style that worked for me because I was able to take corners at fairly high speeds, and I think the worst thing about the game was, and this is a classic argument with 99% of racing games, the drone AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a racing line. I'm going to be a magnet on it, and if you get even remotely near me, I'm not going to pay any attention to you whatsoever. I'm going to keep doing my normal driving line.
And they make no mistakes or anything. They just stick
that's the thing, actually. They do make mistakes.
Oh, okay.
You can drive along, and the car in front of you will flip out.
Okay,
it'll crash into a wall, and then other cars will crash into it, and you can have a big pile up. But on a lot of games, and even in GTA, if there's a car in front of you and you're trying to overtake it, if you tap the back end, you do that pit maneuver, and it spins out the car.
Yes. Okay.
Mm.
Well, in this, it pretty much guaranteed that whether you touch another car or another car touches you, you're always going to lose.
So it doesn't matter what cars you're in or what speed you're going at or anything.
No, you are always the one that gets, hit into the wall or, flipped or crashed. And it ends up being that you just basically have to outbrake everyone on the corners. But for what it was, once I'd gotten through, I think, about the third race on the Europe circuit, I'd unlocked a car that worked for me. I think I'd got a Caterham or something like that, which it felt like it was stuck to the floor, and I could, I could drive very fast, and I could clip things. And the other thing you have is it has fairly, I say realistic, but it has damage model that does actually affect your car.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
when other cars are going to hit you a lot, what you'll find is eventually one of your tires is going to blow.
Okay.
And then you can't turn.
Yeah.
And then you're going to drive straight into a wall. And then you're going to cripple your car and be out of the race.
Hey, fun.
It sounds like a bundle of fun.
There's also a race style they introduce in the Japan stage. I think they call it Touge or something like that. But it's basically one-on-one face-off. And you can either win by being the first to cross the line or by being 5 seconds ahead of the other driver. So if you pull out a lead of 5 seconds, they stop the race. And you have to win 2 rounds of that. But it's mainly on drift circuits, so there's lots of snaky bends and things. And that's all well and good, but you get disqualified if you touch the other driver.
Right, okay.
Basically for trying to hit them.
Oh.
But of course,
I get you.
if you've started power sliding into a corner and he hits you, guess what happens?
Oh, you get penalised.
You get disqualified because he's hit you.
Brilliant. This sounds brilliant.
Yeah, so I'm very glad that I finished it.
I don't know how you put up with it.
Well, it's called stubbornness.
Yeah,
it's called must finish. And the main reason that made me persevere is because although I got really annoyed, not being able to beat a car on the main race or something like that, you don't have to win every event of everything. You can progress by coming getting a podium position. It's just that there is a trophy for coming first in absolutely everything that you drive, which I was going for. I've pretty much done everything apart from 2 multiplayer challenges that will give me the platinum, and then it will definitely be deleted off my hard drive. I mean, I could delete it now, but I'm not going to touch it. Platinum? It's a weekly challenge, and the online is really odd. It assigns you rivals, but you don't get to choose them.
Okay.
And there's a trophy or an achievement for beating your rival on the track, which, if they're never online, you're never going to see them.
So you can't do it, okay.
But there is a way to get someone from your friends list assigned.
Okay.
Except that you have to go onto the Codemasters RaceNet thing, you have to invite them as a friend on there. It doesn't just go, who's in your friends list? You have to actually invite them in a friend on this RaceNet thing. Then when it hits the weekly reset, you can send them an invite to be a rival, and they have to accept it. So it's really long-winded.
Convoluted, pain in the ass, yeah.
Yeah. So you basically have to find someone or bribe them to do it that way. But then you do that. Usually you just find someone else who needs to get that.
Both beat
one of
each
you
other,
wins, the other one wins. There you go. You can delete the friend now.
Sounds like a plan. Cheating the system, but who cares?
That's how people do these things.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was completed at the weekend, and I was rather pleased.
Yeah.
Yep. You sure
good.
were by the tweets anyway.
It was, yeah. A big weight had been lifted off my shoulders.
I could feel that weight even through the internet. I was actually, I was shocked that you stuck at it. Well, fair play to you, man.
I am, because I abandoned something for similar reasons, and you stuck at something for reasons I couldn't be bothered with another game.
But the game that you abandoned, it's by the same developer, isn't it? It's Codemasters?
Yeah, I think so, actually, yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about that then? Because I'm not going to say another word about Grid 2.
I'm almost certain, yeah, well, the game I abandoned was F1 2011.
Nice and finger on the pulse there.
Oh, yeah, it's just because I've had it for ages, and I remember why I stopped playing it now. It's all the same things. If you, every car sticks to the rigid race line, which I guess is accurate to F1, that does happen. But then I just got too annoyed with it starts you off at the bottom of the ladder, like racing for a team that has no chance of winning a race, and you've got to kind of do your time for a few seasons before you can get promoted to a team that's capable of even challenging to win a race. So I was finishing 18th out of 22 in races and getting pissed off that my car wasn't competitive. And then even when I was trying to compete, I'd get smashed against somebody and get in trouble, or I'd be accused of cutting a corner when I hadn't. So I just gave it up. It's null and void. It's never getting finished. I just can't be bothered. I just don't like I just want to be able to sit in a Ferrari and win the championship and say I'm done. But that wasn't an option, so it's not happening.
Did it not have an arcade mode, or is it literally just simulation right from the start?
I think it's just career and co-op seasons or something. I don't know. I could be wrong. I got so annoyed I just switched it off and went off and did something else. Maybe I can revisit it, but it's not high on my priorities at the moment. I'm going to be honest.
Are you a petrol head? But are you into racing games?
Yeah, just not that racing game.
All right, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
I have some of my favourite racing games have been F1 games. I used to love F1 World Grand Prix on the N64. It was amazing.
All right, sure.
But this just didn't do it for me. Even though technically it's a good game, looks amazing, nice cockpit view, all that, not for me. I'm afraid to say.
I think the racing games have got, with each generation as well, they've got very technical and specific. And, if you're a petrol head, you have to be, if you're really into your cars, I'm sure, I'm not, but if you are, that's the type of game that you want to play, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
And have the right tires and the suspension and all that stuff,
Yeah, well, if it was F1 2013, then, you'd get to a race halfway through the season and everyone's tyres would spontaneously explode.
Yes.
I remember that from last season.
Yeah. That definitely was.
And then following that, there'll be an infamous private testing with McLaren.
Classic.
Hey Justin, I waylaid you a bit. What was the next thing you played?
Okay. Well, I since we've just spoken about games that you binned, I binned Big Sky Infinity.
Yeah.
Right.
I probably played it for about an hour before I realised there is no game. It's essentially it's an endless runner or endless shooter. But there doesn't seem to be any real progression. It's just a case of, kill a few things, pick up some points, invest those points in upgrades to your ship so that you can fire, a stronger weapon. And that's pretty much it. There's never going to be an end in sight. It's not even a case of you can just play it for high score leaderboards. I think if you can play it for more than about 2 minutes without thinking I'm just getting bored now, then you've really got some focus. Yeah. But I didn't try it on the PS3, but I played it on the Vita for a while, and it just bored me to death. So
that's fair enough.
But I have been playing quite a lot on my Vita, actually.
A lot of 2D stuff by the looks of the list.
Well, following on from Rob on Last Save Loaded playing Guacamelee, I decided to give that a go. And I'm proud to say that I finished that.
Awesome.
And it didn't seem very hard.
No, from what I've seen of it, it doesn't look too hard. It's definitely a game I want to buy at some point, like in a year.
It was very linear. Colm, did you play this?
Yeah, I actually, when I saw your Guacamelee, my son has a Vita too, and he actually downloaded it. He played it for about 10 minutes, said it's crap. And then I said, well, one of the lads in the podcast, and he's going, oh, don't talk about that podcast again. Said he was playing it, and he actually gave it another go, and he's actually loving it at the moment. So, I had finished one of my other games, and I started to play it in the last couple of days as well. So. Yeah, it's actually very fun. It's a very, very fun game, actually.
Well, for anyone that's not seen it or heard of it, it's a 2D side-scrolling platformer that you play a luchador wrestler.
Yeah.
He starts off as just some, big, beefy dude in a church, and then he gets killed. Spoilers. And then when he's in the afterlife, he is gifted a luchador mask, which is like a powerful one, and that lets him then become the wrestler that you play as. And you just go through, and you've got to effectively it's the old cliche of hot girl that you want to date gets kidnapped, and then you have to go and save her. Yeah, where have we heard that from?
Yeah, that's a new one.
Is she more attractive than Princess Peach, though? That is the question.
Well, she's not in a castle, but she is tied up. But the funny thing is when you get like a power-up, that you come across these statues, and you just basically break the statue. And this goat comes out of nowhere, and he's like, hey, what are you doing breaking my statues? and next thing you know, he kind of like he's chewing this stick. He kind of spits out the stick, and then transforms into this old dude who's like, okay, well, since you've done that, I'm going to teach you a new special move.
Yeah.
And all the special moves do is they basically they let you break open coloured blocks around the map so that you can traverse different routes through things. And the game, it generally speaking, it's all fine. And then you get to probably the last third, and you start getting to the bit where it stops being really obvious what you have to do. You start seeing, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that I need to go through that gap on the other side of the screen, but I can't see that I can actually make it across. So I must have to come back here later when I've got, like, the ability to fly.
Okay, so a bit how Metroid does and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, except that you don't have to come back here later when you've got the ability to fly. You have to get through that gap now. Because it is linear in the sense of if you can get that far, you must be going the right way.
Actually, yeah, I remember seeing when I watched Giant Bomb's Quick Look, I think it was, and it was a bit where it immediately looked like, oh, you can't do this. And then they realised how they could do like a double jump and do something else, and it was like, oh yeah, actually you can do this.
Yeah,
that's why you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you see there's a way to get up in the top right hand corner, and there's various platforms that you can jump around, and there's all these thorns that block your path.
Mm-hmm.
And you can press one of the shoulder buttons to basically shield and go through a thorn section.
Yeah.
And you learn that really early on. But what I spent probably 10 minutes is thinking, how can I jump up through a thorn? And trying to be lightning fast reactions between pressing the jump button, then pressing the shield myself through the thorns, then trying to land on the platform before I got hit, and it's just driving me mad. And then eventually I worked out that if I went from a different direction, I could do kind of like a running jump. Just at the end of my fall, I could then do the double jump. And then while I was doing that, I could do one of these power moves and it'd throw me further across the screen. And then if I was lucky, I'd be able to pull off another power move before I fell off and got killed. And it doesn't really advertise that that's how you've got to do it. So there is a bit of trial and error, but it's only in the end game that really becomes apparent.
Okay.
And the last boss, well...
I've heard, yeah.
Challenging is not the word.
Annoying?
Yeah. I'm going to have to bleep that because I mark this podcast as clean.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But yeah, it is. It's like you try and legitimately beat him a few times.
Yeah.
And you may probably hit him twice. Because he basically just like... He'll attack you and then he'll vanish into a puff of smoke.
Yeah.
But he's got a shield on that's one of the different colours that you can hit him with a specific power-up. But he's hitting you, so you can't actually hit him while he's hitting you. So I could tell you how I ended up beating him at that
quite
point,
a conundrum.
But I'm not going to do it.
I may be asking you for that one.
Well, yeah, if people want to know, then they can ask me and I'll tell you. But basically, keep jumping. And then you think, oh, cool, I've killed him now. That's fine. And then he becomes, spoiler, super mega powerful boss.
I hate that.
And, the first 5 minutes of the boss fight is trying to work out what the signals are for how to evade the attack that's coming. But then you get that immense satisfaction of, yes, I finished it now. Thank you. What I didn't realise was it's actually a two-player.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can two-player co-op the game.
You can one person can play on the Vita whilst the other's on the PS3, right?
Yeah, well, what you get... If you're playing the single-player, every time you get a power-up, this woman kind of comes in as well, and it shows you both on the side of the screen, and it'll like flash in all these bright colours and telling you what power up you've got. And so the fact that she pops up all the way through it every time you get an upgrade is you keep thinking, well, why is she here?
Yeah,
and she is the second playable character.
Right.
Okay, cool. Clever way.
Yeah, because there's one of the upgrades you can buy in the shop is to do with playing two-player.
Okay.
Cool.
So you have to buy the upgrade before you do it.
I think you basically buy like the respawn timer reduction or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, that apart from the frustrating end game, I really enjoyed that.
Cool.
I also
Was it long? Is it a long game? Like?
Not really. I think it feels long because you have to take breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably sit down and complete it back to back in about 4 hours, but I found that you had to have breaks in order to work out how to do the challenges.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Something else which also is quite challenging that I finished was Stealth Inc. Or Stealth.
Yeah, as it's not called on the PC, yeah.
Yeah.
A Clone in the Dark. Yes, so it's a trial and error, try not to get yourself killed approach. the funniest, the funny thing of the game is it trolls you. It trolls you really hard.
Really? In what ways?
Because as you go around the level, things will appear on the background, like writing will appear on the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
And it will say things like, "You forgot there was a gap there," or something. "Oh, come on, you should have learned how to do this by now." And then if you do the level pretty quickly, it will say things like, "Wow, you really impressed me. I didn't think you'd manage that." So it puts these messages on saying like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd manage to do that quickly," and or "really surprised me." And but then there's some of the levels toward the end. It basically, you open the door and then you go the direct way through the door, and all of a sudden the room will change and it'll go, "Ha, I fooled you."
Oh, that's just not fair.
Yeah. It's a real test of patience.
Sounds like it, definitely. I have that on my list, actually.
Yeah, it's the sort of game that does appeal to me because I like playing puzzle games.
Yeah,
and that's why when I get to telling you what I'm playing at the moment, I'm really enjoying it. But
is it a long game, or is it just hard, or is it hard and long?
What the stuff? Hello,
Jesus! I just ripped. Oh, cute. Oh.
That's what she said. Right. What, Stealth Inc?
Yeah.
Well, there's 8 missions or eight sections. And each section introduces a new gameplay dynamic. So, like the early ones, you just have lights with lasers. The second one, you start having units patrolling the level. And then the third one, you start having flying units, and yes, it does that basically.
Yeah.
So if you had the ability to do everything pretty much first time, well, I probably spent an hour to finish the whole 8 levels of one stage. Sorry, the 8 stages of one level.
Okay.
There is unlockable levels. There's one for basically getting an S rank on all the stages. So S ranks these days means, did it without getting spotted, you did it really fast, and so it's almost impossible to do that on some of them because there's a lot of I suppose you call them boss fights at the end of the 8th stage of each level. There's this giant camera in the middle of the screen that's goes around in big circles, and if you get inside its light range, it spots you. Basically, you just get nuked straight away. So you have to wait for it to be looking the other way in order to run across its vision, because it will then spin round to try and track you, and if you get into the dark spot, it loses you again. But if you don't make it, it just kills you. The funny thing about this game, though, was I remember when I was playing Velocity Ultra, I put a tweet out saying something like, Velocity Ultra is doing my head in because every now and then I teleport into a wall. And the developers of the game tweeted me back saying, "Yeah, well, we found it works much better if you just don't do that."
Right, okay.
You won't die if you stop killing yourself, kind of thing. So when I put on Stealth Inc., I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing Stealth Inc." And it teases you because it thinks if you think it takes 5 seconds to hack a computer, you might think that you've got enough time to hack the computer in between the pathing of a sentry drone.
Okay, yeah.
But you might only have 4.8 seconds. So you'll spend 5 minutes repeatedly doing the same section and getting killed over and over again, just trying to get that 0.1 of a second faster in order to do it. So I said, it keeps teasing you by thinking you do that.
Making you push, yeah.
Yeah, and what do you think I got? I got a tweet back from the developers going, "Yeah, we found working faster makes it work."
So they're trolling you that way as well.
Yeah, and I love when developers get involved with their community like that.
Yeah.
It does make you think. Yeah, I know I'm sucking at this, but that's just hilarious, making fun of me.
It's funny.
I
like it.
So that's all my games that I've completed.
Okay.
Again, I'll talk about what I'm playing at the moment a bit later.
Okay.
Colm, your completed list is quite long, isn't it?
Yeah, I got my act together this month, really. But a lot of the games are games that I had started, like, a couple of months back, and I, got around to eventually finishing them this month. So, my first one was Luigi's Mansion. I've been playing for that for the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, because you mentioned that last month, didn't you?
Yeah, I've mentioned that, I think, every month. So, yeah, it's I enjoyed it.
And
pretty good game, fun game.
It won't feature next month then, because you finished it.
Yeah, won't feature next month. I will refuse to talk about it anymore. But I actually I really enjoyed it. So there was nothing annoying about it or anything like that. The second one now, it was Gunman Clive.
Oh yeah.
It's just a downloadable. It is a short game, but my God, it's some parts of it I just felt like throwing the 3DS out the window. It's just
Did you get stuck on one of the bosses in particular?
Yeah,
like
it's just
midway through it or something.
Yeah, just frustrating. Some parts were just really frustratingly hard, and it just. But I stuck at it because I, in the back of my mind, I was hearing, it's a very short game, you'll do it.
Yeah, you can finish it in like an hour.
Yeah, not for me. But technically,
I think it took me about 2 hours to do it.
Yeah, it took me about 3 or 4, I'd say.
It makes you think of Mega Man, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does actually, yeah.
It can be as infuriating.
Yeah, it can be. And so that was my obsessive compulsive game of the month. Basically, I just had to finish that. Just no matter how irritating it got, I got it anyway. So that another one down, Oddworld Stranger's Rats on the Vita.
How long is that?
Oh, dude. 2.5 years it took me.
Because I've got that on Vita and on PS3.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I have it on both as well, because originally when it came out on the Xbox, the original Xbox, I got it, and my son was very kindly finished it for me at the time, so I never got to finish it. So when it came out, so when I heard it was coming out on the PS3, the HD release last year, 2.5 ago, I think it was, I said, I'll definitely get that. So then still didn't get to finish it on the PS3, so got it on the Vita eventually, and I was on the last boss. I was on the last section. I said, I'll come back to that. That was about 3 or 4 months ago. I said, I'll come back to that later. So I just got around to finishing that there this month as well. So I loved that game anyway. So when I played it 3 or 4 months ago, it was just looked like an impossibility. But sometimes when you go back to a game, you leave it there for a couple of weeks and then come back to it, you actually just saw clicks. So it clicked for me that time. So I got it and finished it, and then finally got around to playing Limbo as well, and finishing it.
Did you get slightly scared with the spider?
Well, I got slightly scared with the spider on the Xbox 360 when it came out 2 years ago.
And the first bear trap. that got me, the first one of them. I was like, oh my God, I've been killed.
Yeah, I probably died a lot more in this than most games, but yeah, it's a lovely game. It is a lovely game.
It was always well known, though, for a game where everything is going to kill you.
Yeah.
God knows how there's people that finish that game in 2 hours without a death.
Yeah,
that's just one little slip.
Mental. Yeah, that's mental. Yeah, and then because I don't know, Justin or yourself was playing a kart game last month, I decided to go for Sonic All-Star Racing on the Vita. I did a lot of my gaming on handhelds this month, actually, just for convenience more than anything else,
Around the house or out and about?
No, around the house mostly, yeah. I don't tend to take my DS out on the street, 46-year-olds.
You don't street pass?
I do street pass. I keep it in my pocket, but I don't. Or, in my man bag or whatever.
Or like long trench coat hidden inside.
Yeah, long trench coat. Yeah. So yeah, Sonic All Stars Racing. That was PS Plus anyway. So, yeah, I enjoyed it, but it was more. Some parts were very frustrating, and some parts weren't. Like all the races have three different sort of where you're in the car, one boat on the other, and then a jet, and so it transforms. Obviously, that's where they get the name from. So that was quite a good variety on each track. But
favourite character?
Oh God! Well, I was playing as Wreck-It Ralph. I know he's not. Well, is he? He's not a Sonic character. But he's not a Sega character.
No, he's a Disney character.
Just from movie,
so I just decided to have him and play with him.
I think I'm going to take when I play. I'm going to play as Billy Hatcher in the Giant Egg.
Oh, I used to love that game.
You see, I was never a Sega Genesis man. I was a SNES man back in the day. So I didn't have a Sega Genesis
Billy Hatcher's N64.
GameCube.
Oh yeah. All right, yeah.
Is it?
I never played.
It's a
Billy
Nintendo
Hatcher.
game, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
made by Sega
played.
for Nintendo. Yeah.
I didn't play Billy Hatcher. Was he good?
Yeah. It was one of their first games when they stopped making consoles. It was good for what it was. Like it was I guess.
Here's a guy that's dressed up in a giant chicken suit rolling eggs around.
I mean, it was their attempt at making a new franchise, wasn't it? Like more characters that weren't Sonic, and I guess it didn't pay off because he isn't in anything else.
Didn't have a TV program on it or something, was it? Was he from a TV cartoon program?
No, it was all a new IP that didn't really take off.
All right.
Here he is, a has-been on a racing game.
Well, it's enjoyable. It's not, it's I enjoyed it.
Yeah, on my lovely 64 gig memory card, I'm. That's the reason I've been playing all my games is because I didn't have the big memory card, so it was like delete them all.
Yeah, there's definitely an obsession with size of memory cards for. Well, I'm the same. Like if I could get a 64 gig memory card, I'd get one, but I have a 16, so it does me for the moment. And then I played God of War Chains of Olympus. That's the HD remake on the PS3. As again, I had got a good bit through that, and so I decided to finish that. Enjoyable. I played it on the PSP when it came out, a couple of years back.
I don't know about you. I found when I played it. I mean, the big criticism was that it was short, because obviously they had to make it for the size for a PSP. But it didn't really feel like it was a pick-up-and-play game. I know when they made Ghost of Sparta, it was very much a case of everything was short and, the levels were short and easy. But it was essentially like just God of War 1 and 2, but on the handheld.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, it was very short, yeah. Even by my slow standards, I think I got through it fairly quickly, But as I said, I had played, previously, so I had got so far in this, and then I decided to clean it up this month. So. Did
you get the collection, as in, have you got Ghost of Sparta as well, or did you just have the one?
I have the other one, yeah. I'm going to start that next month, probably. For January.
I think you'll like that one. I liked it.
I didn't actually play that one on the PSP now, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Spoilers: Kratos is not a happy man.
Well,
when is
nothing new there?
You see a lot more of his brother in this one. In the next one, it's a lot more backstory.
Yeah, as opposed to his daughter and his family and his wife.
Right, his wife and daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, daughter. Yeah. And then the surprise probably for me for this month was Rocket Board.
Isn't it called something like Rocket Bird Hard Boiled Chicken or something like that?
Yeah. if Rambo was a chicken, he would be a rocket bird, And it was I enjoyed it. Very good platformer type of thing, You have different power-ups and stuff like that. The music was really good in it,
during some of the cutscenes and stuff, there's really good music.
It's really good. It's really great. It's very Ian Brownish sort of, indie sort of. It's brilliant. I thought it was actually Ian Brown singing on the bloody some of them, So I really enjoyed that. Now, it's not. It's I don't know how long I was playing it for now, to be honest with you, but
I don't think it was that long.
No, it's a good laugh. I would recommend it. Mm-hmm. And that was on the Vita as well. And then Brothers, I got a €25 voucher for Christmas, so Brothers was on the PS3. I think it was going for £3 or £4, and it was one of them games I would have bought previously if I hadn't been doing my year of shame. So I downloaded that, and it was a great game. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The only trouble I found, I'm sure a lot of people have found, is that controlling both the brothers
at the same time,
is a bit tedious, and sometimes, but other than that, it was a brilliant game. Music,
it's weird separating, doing different things with both sticks. Sometimes you're not used to it. Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's something new, and it works most of the time, but there were certain times where it didn't, not a hard game by any standards, but very good. Great, really enjoyed that. And then I decided to go for Thomas Was Alone as well. And not as short as I would have thought.
I found it, I thought it was pretty short.
Yeah, but I was expecting to be finished every time I finished a level. And because I remember you saying last time it was quite short. I think yourself was saying it. And I was, okay, this is short. Just said it was short. It's not.
I thought it was about 2 hours.
2 sittings. Well, it seemed to take me forever.
Well,
I don't know how long it took me. 3 or 4, maybe.
Where the exits were and how to do it.
Yeah. And it's a lovely game. It is a nice game, nice narrative, and the music was nice too.
So did you play it with Danny Wallace talking you through the story? Because I played it with the the creator diary over the top of it.
Oh,
no, I just played it with Danny Wallace.
Yeah, there's an option to have developer commentary, and he basically, every time you start a level, it says, well, this level we introduce you to this character, and this character is supposed to, you have the long one that can jump high, and I think on the commentary, Danny Wallace is saying, oh yeah, he feels like a superhero, and then you get later on, you get the little one who can double jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, well, you're supposed to at this point believe that the character now doesn't feel so good anymore, but then later on they start realizing that they can help and they can achieve things different ways, and so it was really nice hearing the reasoning behind things, particularly when you get to Grey and stuff later on.
Yeah. All right, I didn't know that now.
So yeah, I played it with that.
All right. Do you think it added anything to the game experience, or was it just another option?
I mean, he talked over the top of Danny Wallace, so I didn't really hear what the point of the story was, but hearing how he came up with things, like the bit where you have Thomas, and I think it's James is the one that's the upside down version of Thomas.
Yeah.
And you effectively have to get them to jump on top of each other to finish certain levels.
Yeah.
Now, I worked that out. Well, I didn't work it out. I found that out the first chance I had, because I can't remember if I was trying it or I got one of them so it's halfway off the platform. And then the other one, I landed on him and moved the top one, and it was like, oh, I can now walk them if I do it carefully, and And the developer diary is like saying, oh, well, there's things like that moment where if you're clever, or you feel like you're clever because you think, oh, I'm not supposed to know that I can do this yet.
Ah, right, yeah.
Because later on, you have to do it in order to finish some of the levels. But it was saying things like that. That it's set up in such a way that it allows the player to start thinking he's cheated the game.
All right, yeah. There was one or two levels now where I was getting a bit frustrated, like where there's one particular level where when there's just two. I think it was I can't remember the colours anyway, but there's just two of the smaller rectangles or triangles or something, and you have to jump on one of them is for the water, so you have to jump onto the water, put the other one in your back.
Yeah.
The blue one, I think, is the one that holds the float. Yeah. And you have to put him on the black and then get the other one, the blue one, to move him across onto the next platform and so forth. And I was just getting frustrated, and I just went, and then this big jagged edge would come along and kill you if you didn't get to the end. So you basically, I just discovered that after, like, I don't know how long it was, but I was just getting frustrated with it. I said, there has to be a quicker way to do this. Yeah. You just bounce along the water. You didn't have to actually float the blue thing into the water. It could bounce along the water. So it could actually, when you hit it at the right time, it wouldn't just float on the water, it would bounce along the water. So you put the two of them, the other character on top of them, and he just bounce along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I was of the, thinking that he had to float.
Yeah, you have to run one along, and then you have to get the other one to catch up with him.
Yeah. But he didn't. He could actually bounce along the water. So the race then wasn't so, it wasn't such a big deal then,
I think when I did it, I like you, I tried to do it logically. So I tried to get the one that swims there, and I tried to bring the other one along. And I got about a third of the way off the level, and then I realised you're just not going to do it. You're running out of time because you're trying to do it too precisely.
Yeah.
And I think it was at that point I realised I could possibly even just use it as a stepping stone. So I'd jump one halfway into the water, I'd flip to the other one, just charge through, jump, land on the one in the water, jump straight back off again and land him on the platform, and run on it like halfway across the stage, and then go back and get the one before the spikes catch up with him and swim him along the level, and just don't even use them as cooperative. You just use one as a stepping stone and pretty much ignore it for the rest of the level.
All right, okay. Now that was the level I just discovered. It bounced. If you hit, you put the one on top of the blue one, and you bounced just as you hit the water, you could actually skip along the water without actually floating, without actually having to sink in. You know what I mean? So like you get them flat stones and would skip along. That's how I managed that one. But that was after, a couple of tries.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games that you try something and you realise it's not going to work, and then you
trial and error.
Why didn't I try that first time?
Yeah, you just say to yourself. So yeah, but that was basically it. And the other one, I was going back to Luigi's Mansion 1 after playing Luigi's Mansion on the DS, but I haven't actually got around to finishing that yet. So I think I'm doing pretty well, considering.
How does it hold up now, bearing in mind that was a launch GameCube title?
It's still a fun game.
It still looks really beautiful,
it still looks good, considering it's 12 or 13 years older, isn't it? Something like that, anyway, isn't it? I think it's 10 years old anyway, at least. So yeah,
something like 12 years old, something like that.
12, 2001, I think, or 2002, or something like that. Yeah, so yeah, it's still looks pretty well, So I didn't get to finish that yet, but that's it. I believe that's a very short game, so I think it's only about 3 or 4 hours, to complete from what I've read online. So yeah, so I did pretty well this month, I think, considering previous months anyway. So I was kept busy getting through my pile. So
cool.
That's it. And Adam?
Right, I will start off. So after last time we talked about Mortal Kombat, and I said how I was partway through it.
Yep.
So I just went and sat and literally I was exactly halfway through the story, so I just went and blitzed it. Did it all in one sitting.
Did you go for the cheap and nasty approach?
Right, I didn't get to the point where he was just stood still mocking me.
Yeah.
But I did get to like a point where he started mocking me enough that I could just teleport behind him, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you still die a couple more times, he will just give up attacking it altogether. As long as you use range fireballs on him, or lightning balls.
Yeah, lightning bolts.
Yeah.
So did that. Enjoyed it. Fun enough. Is what it is. Kind of wonder how with the ending they're ever going to do another Mortal Kombat game. It doesn't leave enough going on really for there to be a sequel as such.
Well, no, they. No, I can't say what you tell because it's a massive spoiler.
Yeah, I mean it is a really old game, but you never know. But yeah, I just don't see how. Maybe we can talk about it some other time.
Yeah, talk about it amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Well, Quan Chi has ulterior motives. That's all I will say.
Okay. So yeah, did that, and then it was my self-proclaimed point-and-click month. So the first one I played was Simon the Sorcerer 2. Not as much fun as the original. The original was very like Tolkien-esque and drew on a lot of that mythology and like fairy nursery tales and stuff. And this still does a little bit. Like you have the three bears, and Goldilocks is a terrorist that's been terrorizing them.
That sounds like great fun.
The daddy bear is like the chief of the police or something, and so it does still riff on stuff quite funny. The voice acting's still funny.
Did you think it was an episode of Red Dwarf?
No, because that's what my point was. Chris Barry did the voice in the first game, but not the second game.
Did he not?
No, it's somebody else in person, and I had to check it because I thought the voice sounded a little bit off, so I looked it up, and it's not him. It's some no-name person. So yeah, but it's still funny. It's the only game you'll find that has like Morris dancers with like Cornish accents in it and stuff. For example, I joked last time about how obtuse some of the puzzles were. I wasn't wrong. Like some things, like you're on a pirate ship and you're sharing a prison cell with Mr. T, and you have to borrow his blowtorch to fire open a door so that you can get something to do with the captain of the ship. Also that you can get something called Mucosade that will allow you to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity needed so you can travel back to your own world in a wardrobe. So I wasn't kidding, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought Discworld, the first point-and-click one, was odd, but that sounds just as crazy.
I mean, it's very similar, actually, in its feel to the Discworld games. I'd say that's what you could... Discworld with a hint of nursery rhyme-esque stuff, and trying to think what other famous or semi-famous characters there are from... There's all sorts of stuff. I'm going blank now. The worst part about it all is that it ended on a cliffhanger.
And no third game.
There is a third game. They're still making them, actually, you wouldn't believe.
Oh, right.
The problem with the third game is it's called Simon the Sorcerer 3D, and it's meant to be horrendous. Like, even for the time, it was graphically poor. It has really bad controls. So that immediately follows on, and then there's a 4, 5, and 6 that are made by some German developer, and they have like no relation to the original games. They're all standalone games, also all meant to be really bad. So I think I may get quit whilst I'm ahead.
Yeah.
And just leave. I'll leave it at the end. That's how it ended for me, probably.
Fair enough.
My other point-and-click game I played was The Dig.
Beautiful. Loved it. Loved it really, back in the day.
Yeah. Really good, but for different reasons. Like, it's a really cinematic game, and I didn't realise until the end credits it was written by Orson Scott Card and produced, I think, by Steven Spielberg. So that explains a lot of why, like, the sci-fi writing's so rich and why there's that real sense of atmosphere. And so, yeah. And Robert Patrick's one of the voices, the T-1000 from Terminator 2. So really enjoyed it though. Completely different to Simon the Sorcerer, like point and click wise. Like has its own little innovations about how things happen. Like almost like context sensitive events that happen. So when you do something else, it affects somewhere else in the world, or you'll have a conversation and you'll just be shown something else that's going on. So it's really unique in that way. Completely different to Simon the Sorcerer. None of the sense of humour that Simon the Sorcerer had, but still really fun. So enjoyed that one.
Where do you pick these? Where do you pick these to dig up? Like,
the dig's on Steam.
All right.
You can buy it off Steam, and the Simon the Sorcerer is on GOG.com, goodoldgames.com.
All right.
So yeah, there's quite a few old LucasArts games on Steam actually, because there's the Indiana Jones games on there as well, which I didn't get round to.
You need to play Full Throttle.
Yeah, I know. I don't have it, but I do want to. It is one of them I want to play.
I might have it upstairs with my Day of the Tentacle.
Oh yeah, I remember you said. So yeah, I kind of burnt out on point and click games a bit then. I tried to play another one called Flight of the Amazon Queen, and it looked like I have a lot of nostalgia for those graphics of that era, but Flight of the Amazon Queen looked horrendous. You're playing this guy from New York called King, and I don't think the guy doing the voice actor was actually from New York. He was like, "Yo, bro," and all this. It just didn't work. Like, it was horrific, and like the dig was quite innovative in its puzzles and stuff, and so was Simon the Sorcerer. Like, Simon the Sorcerer had these good bits of dialogue that were written. Like, if you had an item that a character wanted, and you'd sort of skipped ahead a bit in the tree, they'd written dialogue to be like, "Oh well, I suppose now is when I should get out this because you've been asking me about it." And it was just really slow to play a game that suddenly lacked all those innovations, so to speak. So I abandoned that and kind of abandoned the point and click month for now, and went and played Fear 2 and Fear 3 back to back in like the space of 2.5 days.
That's a marathon session.
That certainly is. Yeah.
And were you scared?
Unnerved, I'd say. It's not up there as the scariest stuff I've ever played. But I don't know. Like, the first one didn't have that much creepy stuff to me. It was all too much just shooting the same soldiers endlessly in warehouses and stuff.
Yeah.
These seem to elaborate on it a bit more, and the fact that they're that bit older and they're running on newer engines meant they had that bit more scope to kind of do the paranormal stuff, like better physics and stuff, and I really enjoyed them, and it's a shame that it seems that franchise doesn't exist anymore, because the story does kind of tie up that set of events. But really fun games, like super creepy paranormal stuff. Just a little bit of a shame that there is too much shooting that maybe gets in the way of it. But like Fear 3 still looks great, I think. Like, it's not that old really. It's like 2009, 2010, something like that.
Yeah.
It's aged pretty well. So
which one did you prefer, like Fear 2 or 3? Or both?
Maybe 2 a little bit more.
Yeah. I enjoyed 2 more.
3 was a little bit weird because you have kind of that guy talking to you all the way through, and you switch characters back to the guy who you were in the first one as well, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Pointer man. But yeah, still really enjoyed it. Then I also finished Zelda: A Link Between Two Worlds. It's up there with the best 2D Zeldas, but it's kind of easy, which was a little bit disappointing.
I was going to ask, actually. Right, I've heard a lot of people talking about the game, inevitably, and although it's received a lot of praise, the one recurring criticism people seem to have is because there is no linear, you have to do these dungeons in order.
Yeah.
Once it's a case of you're in the world, you can now go off and do wherever you want. Some of the bosses end up seeming very easy because you have weapons from other areas, and some of them seem hard because you haven't got the weapons from other areas.
Well, there's the same thing that there's multiple methods you could use for a couple of them because they've tried to make them so that whatever items you've got, you could still beat it, kind of thing. Yeah. There's only there's 2 dungeons you do have to play in order because there's a special item that you can only unlock. Yeah, there's certain items you can only unlock from one dungeon, but yeah, it definitely makes it harder / easier.
Harder / easier.
No, I meant it makes it easier. Yeah, it's a really odd one. Like, I don't know, it definitely makes it easier, and they made this big deal out of this item rental system where, like, if you rent the items, and then when you die, you have to give them back to the guy you rented them off. But there's no real penalty because you get so many rupees in the game, and then when you die, it asks you where you want to start from, and you can start from the house where you buy them from. So then before you know it, you do that, and then there's a teleport system, so you're back at the dungeon before you know. So there's no penalty. Like, I feel like that was their main pull for making it harder, and it wasn't harder. So yeah, it was okay.
Was it too easy, or was it just?
I think it was. Like, I finished I pretty much finished the last 2 dungeons plus the final castle, all in the space of like 2 hours, maybe even less than that. Like the final castle is one of those things where it's meant to draw everything in and make it hard, and it wasn't hard at all. I blitzed right through it.
Well, you say that, but then I remember playing Ocarina of Time, and when I got to Ganon's Castle, the actual Ganon's Castle bit of it was so pathetically easy that I just, I walked through, and then I got to the fight, and that was hard, but the actual platforming sections, there was just no challenge in it whatsoever, and I think probably about 2 minutes was the most I spent in any of them. What I was going to say, though, obviously the 2 worlds, it introduces you to Lorule.
Yeah.
What's the name of the equivalent to Zelda?
Hilda.
And do you remember a show called Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Yeah.
And her aunts are called
Zelda and Hilda, yeah. I hadn't realised that.
Classic.
Anyway,
yeah.
You've been playing something else though as well, haven't you?
And then the last thing I've been playing, I'm not going to talk about the other thing because I can't be bothered. The other thing I've been playing is Papers, Please, which you, Justin, had the pleasure of watching me via Twitch.
Yes.
So at twitch.tv/Flameboy84, I'm going to start trying to stream some games I'm playing on this along the way. Papers, Please is possibly the most oppressive game I've ever played. You play a border control agent in a country that's very closely modelled on a Soviet Union era Russia. And that's all it is. You have a desk, and above the screen is like a little pixelated, like border control with people queuing, and they come up and pass their documents to you, and you have to decide whether they can come in and out of the country. Every day there's new rules. So some days immigration will be banned from one country because there's been a flu outbreak, for example, or frosty relations. And over the course of the game, the dialogue develops. Like, you're desperately trying to earn enough money so that you can keep all your family alive and pay to up your social status. All that stuff's just done through text menus. Like, at the end of every day, it tells you how much money you've made, and then you decide whether you want to spend on medicine, food. You can upgrade your booth as well. But in the game, it's a hard one. I don't want to wreck the plot for anyone listening. The game puts you in situations where
you basically just can't be true and honest all the way through,
yes.
Can you? Yeah.
If you cannot, either way, there's sort of 2 ways you could go, and either way, at some point, you have to break the rules. For example, there's a time when one of your bosses comes and says to you and gives you a name of the person, and he says, right, this person has to come through to an important diplomat. I expect you to do your duty for your country. They come, they have a diplomatic visa, but it doesn't have the right clearance. So by rights, you should not let them in. But then I was like, but your boss is an asshole. So then I was like, I'm going to have to let him in. So I stamped her in, and then I got a citation and lost money because of it. And you don't get paid a lot. You only get paid like $5 per person you let through. So it's hard. And then there's other factions pulling you. And then you'll get people that come with sad stories like, oh, I really need to come here. I need healthcare. I'm sick.
Or you get
like,
one saying, I love you long time.
Yes. There's one guy that slips you a little. There's one that slips you a little letter, and it just starts off with like, hello. And then you flick through the letter, and it's written in this scrawly writing. And at the end of the back of it, it's like, I love you long time. Please give me stamp. Please give me green stamp. And then there's another guy called Jury that comes, and at first he comes with no passport, and then he comes with a passport that he's drawn himself. And then eventually he comes with all the legit paperwork, so you let him in, and then he starts his own little business on the side and stuff. So it's a really clever game, really hard. Unfortunately, I got a bad ending. I'd have to replay through the entire game to work out where, because I helped somebody I perhaps shouldn't have helped, and that gave me the bad ending to the game.
There's different ways of having bad endings, though.
Yeah, you can, because sometimes you can end right there and then. You could end on like the second day technically, through various ways. So I think I had like 16 out of the 20 available endings, but I did get to the end of this a set amount of days, and I got to the end of the set amount of days, having completed my duties, went for a review with my boss, and was informed that I had done something I shouldn't have done, and that meant I'd failed.
So the game that I'm playing at the moment, on the Vita, I'm playing MotorStorm RC, which is a MotorStorm game for radio controlled cars. Not much more you can say to that. I've beaten a couple of Adam's times on it.
Oh,
woohoo!
Did you have to spend a long time trying to beat them? Because I remember spending hours trying to beat some of my friends' times, and then within minutes they'd have beaten my time again, and I was getting really pissed off with it.
No, well, I'm one of those OCD people that I need to, if it says finish within 30 seconds to get the gold medal, I'll keep doing it until I finish within 30 seconds. Okay. And usually the way that I pick up the corner cutting techniques and things like that, it usually shaves enough that I'll come in on 26 seconds or something like that. When I eventually do it. So some of them, it took a couple of goes, but generally speaking, I've only probably played about 10 races on it.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't had to replay much. But
maybe I'll have to go back and try and beat some of your times.
I'm certainly only in the early stages. I haven't even played any. What you get is themed arenas. So you get one that's themed on the original MotorStorm, one that's themed on Pacific Rift, one that's themed on the PSP one, Arctic Ridge. Was it called?
Yeah,
Arctic Edge.
Arctic Edge. There you go. And then one that's themed on Armageddon. So there's 4 different themes, and I haven't touched the Armageddon one yet because I have bad memories of playing that game.
Oh, don't tell me that. That's on my pile.
It's not an enjoyable one.
Oh, gee.
But you will either get it or you won't. I got it, and I made my way through, and I finished the story, but it's not very forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
But the game that I'm playing, that I'm absolutely adoring, properly getting involved with, and getting Twitter community involved with, XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Oh, yeah.
I decided to restart my campaign in the middle of the week. And I did the thing, which a lot of people did last year, of putting out tweets going, okay, I'm going to start my campaign. If you want to be a soldier in my squad, let me know and I'll name them after you. And I had a few people come in and, sure enough, Colm said, I'll be someone slow, not on the front line, and send me in. So the first, I named a character after him. Sure enough, it gets promoted as a sniper. So, he's definitely not on the front line. And Colm's been injured a couple of times, but he's clocking up the ranks slowly.
Story of my life.
But as of the last round, Justin Knowles is one of my heavy gunners, and when they get the third promotion, so the third or the second, they get the first one's a squaddy rank, then they get corporal, then they get sergeant, and they get given a nickname. So his nickname that it allocated him was Collateral. Because he's got a giant bazooka and he keeps blowing things up.
Nice.
And he is currently my top killer on this team with something like 21 kills on 10 missions. But nearly everyone that I've had has taken some time in the infirmary, and I named a couple of characters. One of them I named from one of the hosts on the BRB Boom show, Josh Radden, otherwise known as Yoshi Fett, one of the hosts on that podcast. And he went out on his maiden voyage, and I put him as a sniper, as a scout on top of this vehicle so that he could open up his field of vision. And the first little group of enemies all targeted him, and he got shot down on his first encounter and killed. So I put a tweet out saying, "I'm sorry to announce that I had one US soldier. I named him after you, and he took a bullet to the head on the first outing." And he was like, "Yeah, that sounds just like me in any war game ever." And another good friend, Jedi Junkie from Joypad and Me, he asked for a character to get named after him, and it was my first character with the assault class, meaning that he has like a shotgun and he's a close quarters person. He managed to make it up to sergeant rank before he got a bullet to the face at very close range. It was a critical hit and it completely killed him. There was no like damage or anything. It was like, boom, you're dead. And so far I've only lost 2 players, but I found that even some of the levels, it gives you a difficulty rating. So you can research things and you can build things and manufacture things. And there's a bit of a balancing act with, do you invest in satellite coverage? Because if you've got satellite coverages over different countries, those countries are less likely to panic, and they're likely to stay on the council. If it reaches panic level 5, you're in serious risk of the country withdrawing its funding from the XCOM program. And if 8 countries all withdraw their funding, the game ends because you get shut down.
Yes, that's like the original was, yeah.
Yeah. So far I've lost 2 countries, but I have a headquarters based in Europe, so I get a bonus on research. So my research is doing well. I just can't build anything. So every time it comes up saying, "Okay, you've now got to choose one of 3 abductions," I keep going for the one that has a very high panic rating, because if you don't do it, then they're gonna end up leaving the council. So you have to kind of balance up which one you want to invest your time in, and they give you different rewards. So in the early game, you'll think, fine, I'll just get whatever's the best for me, but you really need to approach it a lot more tactically as to what is better for the long term rather than short term gains. But I'm really loving the fact that you level up your individual soldiers and you can really tailor them as you like and give them the armor that you want them to have, or just call them cannon fodder and send them out to the front line, and it's so good. I'm loving it.
Okay, guys, so that's what we've been playing. Let's have a little look at what we have picked up. So, Colm, would you like to start us off?
Well, I picked up quite a few things this month.
Christmas themed, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got Mario 3D World for Christmas.
Nice.
The Wii U one, yeah?
Yeah, the Wii U one, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also got €25 PSN points. And €25 eShop voucher. And €75 iTunes. So I was a good boy, really.
Yeah.
You received those, you didn't go up and buy them?
No, I received them. I refute any accusations that I went out and bought them. Okay, because I'm getting some stick. I'm getting some stick on Last Save Loaded. Oh,
I know.
It
was just because you'd got a Wii U.
I know.
Through clever manipulation of the system.
I know, but I should stop doing that now because it's not fair. Yeah, Mario 3D World is brilliant. Really enjoying that at the moment.
Have you played it exclusively single player, or have you played it with other people? Or
single player.
So my question is, do the levels feel a bit empty? Because some of the levels look huge, like they're there to accommodate 4 people, even when they're not there.
Yeah. No, I just no, I don't think they feel empty. No.
Okay.
Not to me, anyway. Because if you pick up a cherry, Mario duplicates, like, you know, so you could have 4 or 5 Marios on the screen at the same time
okay.
at some levels, which is really cool, like, you know. But I haven't played it with anybody else at the moment, so I might try and get my son to play some if he's not too busy with his Xbox One.
Fair enough.
So,
just walk in and shout Xbox off.
Yeah. His gas on Christmas morning, he was trying to set up the voice commands on his Xbox One, and he was getting slightly frustrated because he put in, you know, it says what country you're from, and you said Ireland. It said Irish, but it doesn't work. You have to put in UK as your area, you know. Otherwise, the voice commands won't work. So he eventually figured that one out, but he's quite happy with it. He's quite happy.
So what does it think that he's actually speaking a different language, like speaking Gaelic?
I think that's what it was. I think it's not set up to be, you know, Gaelic, obviously, but when he reset it to UK, it worked fine. So, and he read on the forum somewhere that it didn't support Ireland, so just UK. So it works fine for him now. So he's quite happy with that.
Cool.
And he got the Xbox One edition.
Day One edition.
Day One edition, yeah, and he was very happy with that. I only, as I say, I only pre-ordered it 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas, and HMV had still had some in stock, so he was happy with that.
Nice.
So for my €25 PSN points, I got Ridge Racer.
Was that Ridge Racer Unbounded?
Yeah, Ridge Racer Unbounded.
Oh, okay.
Because I did like previous Ridge Racers on the PlayStation 1 and so forth, so I thought that'd be good. It was only £4 as well, €4. So, and I also got Ni no Kuni for €8.
Because that was on like a super sale on PSN store, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was €8 of your PSN Plus.
They do some good sales over Christmas, the PlayStation store.
Well, they're on the January sale now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was very happy with that. I've played a little bit of it. Really enjoying that. And Crisis 3 I got as well. So
nice.
I did very well with them.
Yeah.
With my points. And for eShop voucher, I bought Zombie Wii U. That was only a tenner.
Wow, really? That's quick. Yeah. That's so cheap digitally as well.
Yeah, they were doing a sale as well, so they had that. And they had Assassin's Creed 3 as well for a tenner, but I have that on PlayStation Plus, so I didn't bother.
Oh, okay.
So that's basically what I've had. Sorry, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker as well. I traded in some games for that.
Oh.
So basically...
Wind Waker HD, yeah?
Yeah, sorry, Wind Waker HD, yeah. So that's what I got this month. And I won't be getting anything else then.
That's it.
For a long time.
Well, you've obviously picked up the same things that I got on the PSN Plus.
Oh yeah,
monthly update.
DMC and Soul Sacrifice. I haven't got around to playing Soul Sacrifice yet, and I just started DMC last night before the podcast, but I haven't really got stuck into that yet.
Have you played Metal Gear Rising yet?
No.
No, well, I'm only asking, so I'm sort of curious whether there's a lot of similarity, because they're both, a lot of sword fighting.
Yeah. No, I haven't played that yet.
Okay.
I think just I'll stick to Borderlands 2 this month and DMC, try and get them finished.
I think I'm going to leave Borderlands 2 for quite some time, bearing in mind how, despite the criticism I picked up from several of my friends, I didn't enjoy Borderlands. And
did you not? No.
No, I did not. No.
Oh, right. At all? Nothing about it?
No.
Oh, see, because I didn't particularly care for the story, but I still liked the core mechanics of it all. And now, I talked about Borderlands 2 last month, I think it was, and I
you would
love it. But I haven't played that much.
And I have no problem with people loving it. Yeah. It just doesn't work for me. Yeah. You know, like some people can't stand racing games, and if it's done right, I can get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Each to their own, as they say.
Yeah.
But I mean, did you try Did you try playing much of Borderlands 1?
I finished it.
Oh, did you? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't forget, he's a sadist, so of course he finished it.
He is, yeah.
Got to be finishing it.
If he hates the game, he'll finish it.
Yeah. That's Justin.
Yeah, I've got to finish it to know that I properly hated it. Not that.
Well done.
Not that I gave up on the first 5 minutes because it was a bit shoddy. I stuck at it. I tried some of the multiplayer, and it
cool.
It just bored me.
No snap judgments.
Oh, very good.
I invested quite a few hours.
Yeah, it's not a short game in particular. Even if you're only doing the story stuff, it can still last quite a while.
I made level 40, possibly close to level 50, but I finished everything, like all the missions.
You did all the side quests.
Obviously, I didn't do any DLC or anything because I didn't have any of that, but it just didn't...
Was there anything you liked about it, or is there any aspect of the game you enjoyed? Or?
The end credits.
Didn't even like them that much. No, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of cel-shaded games, right? And I've also come under fire because I've said that I don't like Wind Waker for the same reason.
Oh, okay.
And there's people, when it came out, people going, "Oh, this is the best Zelda ever," and I was going, "Yeah, but it's not though, is it?" And I accept that my view is not a popular one, but I don't try and impress it upon other people. I know that they're well-received games, and I'm happy to let other people spend their money on them. You just won't be getting it from me.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. As long as you're trying to force it on anybody else, that's your opinion.
No, I don't go around door to door and say, "Hi, would you like to know about these games?"
Would you like to know about the crimes of cel-shaded games?
Yeah. So we, as you say, it was Borderlands 2, DMC, Devil May Cry, Soul Sacrifice on the Vita, and BlazBlue Continuum Shift Extend, I think it is. So you've got on the Vita one fighting game, like one-on-one brawler, similar sort of thing to your Street Fighter, and Soul Sacrifice is similar to Monster Hunter, I guess. It's over-the-shoulder 3D game, has option for online and ad hoc co-op, although from what I understand, it doesn't really make that much difference. It doesn't improve the experience any. And I will probably be investing some time into that. Christmas Day, Steam decided to let anyone who wanted to cash it in have Left 4 Dead 2 for free. Yep. So I added it to my account, and I'll tell you now, I don't think I'm ever going to download it and play it because my laptop is not the most powerful. It struggles to run Dota. It struggled to run StarCraft 2. So trying to play a first-person shooter on it,
It might do. It runs on the Source engine, so it scales down quite. Like if you could run the old Half-Life games, it might run.
Well, I don't know. I suppose I have got Portal on here. Yeah, I've got Portal.
Yeah, if Portal runs, Left 4 Dead will run. Definitely.
With the other games I've got, I don't use my laptop as my gaming sort of option. Having said that, I did receive a gift for Christmas from the hosts of the Some Other Castle podcast. They are very, very happy enthusiasts of the game known as Cook Serve Delicious.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And they are, you could say, slightly addicted to the game. And it went on it's gone onto Steam. It used to be an iPad game.
Yeah.
But it's on Steam now. And I think it was something like American dollars. It was like $1.67 or something like that. And, they were saying, at that price, it's a crime if you don't buy it. And I sort of replied with, much as I'd love to, Year of Shame. And I got sent an email that said, Year of Shame be damned. And it had, you have been one copy.
Nice.
So that was my pickups.
Okay.
Well, the only other thing I got was it's not a game as such, but it was a 90-day PSN extension PS Plus thing, because Morrison's were selling them off for £5.
Okay.
So I picked that up, and because that's my Plus is due to expire in October, that will keep me going through to the end of 2014. I don't consider that I've broken the rules, because all it's doing is making sure that I have access to the games that I've already got, in the same way that if my console broke, I'd obviously get a new console.
Yeah, we've already discussed that, yeah.
So, what have you picked up then, Adam?
Are you ready for this? It's a long old list.
Now, last month you were playing FIFA 14 on your friend's console.
I'd like to make a correction there. So, I won this code, and the only reason it ended up on my friend's Xbox is because the guy who was posting was like, right, I want to give this code away to somebody that will use it, so if you want it, I'll send you the code, and you need to redeem it like straight away. So I called my friend, and I was like, hey, because I went round to his house that time, I already talked about it, and tested, and I logged in on my Xbox account, because we were practicing like passing the controller to each other, and it logs you in and out and all that stuff. So I was like, right, log onto my account and redeem this code like now, so that we have FIFA 14. And I never actually went round and played it until very recently. But I don't need to go round and play it anymore, because I got an Xbox One for Christmas.
Oh. You kept that quiet.
Well,
gee.
You see, I did, if you read on the show notes, I did write, finally, Xmas present, it's a big one. And I wondered if either of you would read it and twig on.
I thought you just picked up another, crate of Pepsi.
No, not this time.
No, that's good for you.
They had them in stock at Target, and my girlfriend got one with a copy of Dead Rising 3.
You'll have to be friending Colm's son then, so you might...
Yeah, so we can play together. So so I got FIFA 14 for free from Scrussel on the Kane and Rince forums. So that was very kind of him. He got the day one edition in the UK and just doesn't like sports games, so he just gave it away, which was very kind of him.
Yeah, it was cool, yeah.
I know. So along with my Xbox One, I got a copy of Dead Rising 3, which I haven't played much of at all. I played like the first chapter or so at my friend's house a while back, and then I loaded it up basically to check if my save all synced and stuff, which it did. It was amazing. It's as if I was on the same console, which is a cool little
power
feature.
Of the cloud.
I know, it actually works. It's seamless as well. It just came up with a little message saying we've got to sync, and then within seconds it was booting the game up, and I could hit continue, and we were away. So I got that. My girlfriend kind of ran out of time with the Christmas presents, so on Christmas Eve she went and bought me enough Xbox Live credit to buy another game. So with that I downloaded Forza, which is why when you were talking about Grid I said I did like racing games, because I've been playing a lot of Forza. So that's all that Xbox stuff out of the way. So
you've been a very good boy this year, then, haven't you?
Apparently so. I don't know what I did.
So can I just clarify? She does know you're saving for a wedding, right?
Yeah. I think that's part of the thing. She feels bad because she knows. Like, I went round to my friend's house and I came back and I was like, "Oh, it's really good." It was like killing me. And I think that's where it comes from. Like because she even said to me, because she started using it, she likes the idea of all the voice stuff. But then, like, the Netflix interface looks like Windows 8 kind of, with all the tiles still, and she hates it. And now she's saying, this is pointless, we didn't need this. Because she's gone back to using the PS3 because she prefers the Netflix on that. But it has been handy. Like, you can get around Netflix without a remote, which is quite good. Pretty much, or without a controller. So that does appeal. You can turn the TV off and everything without ever finding a remote. So it's not without its uses.
Yeah, when I do get around to getting real next gen or this current gen, I'd probably end up getting a PS4 because I just don't like the interface on the new Xbox. Just doesn't do anything for me.
See, it's grown on me.
Yeah.
Because I think some things are cool. I think it's cool how when I'm playing Forza, I can just snap TV across to one side and watch TV at the same time, or watch Netflix at the same time. So there's cool things like that, and it feels more next gen to me. The PS4 just feels like bigger tiles than the XMB was, kind of. That's only from what I played on like demo units in stores, though.
Well, question though. You're obviously in North America, and they heavily promoted all the sports and TV and all that. And over here, it hasn't really been sort of lined up with any of the channels.
Yeah.
So is it actually integrated, and does it work in Canada in the same way that they were obviously promoting that it would do in America?
No. Well, yes and no. We have a lot of the apps that are there. Like that NFL app still runs like in the background and stuff. Like if you're watching NFL, I think it still pops up even though over the top of TV, but it's not running. But the One Guide stuff doesn't work. And it's funny you should mention that. Actually, I went on the Xbox Canada forums and I actually wrote a message saying I think it's a bit off that they didn't really advertise the fact or let it be known that this wasn't going to happen. They said they were bringing these features to North America. And they kind of lied. And then my message got deleted as spam. So they're obviously trying to suppress people complaining about it. But in the meantime, I found out, like, I know people, one of the major companies here is called Rogers, and there's Bell as well. And they've not opened negotiations with either of them to get because they have to, something has to happen for them to be able to pull the data from the cable box for the One Guide stuff to work. And they haven't apparently even started talking to them. So it does make me worry a little bit. So at the moment, I can say Xbox Watch TV and it'll flick over. But then I have to use the remote to change channels still. I can still get back to the Xbox menu with the controller and everything. I can still say Xbox Go Home whilst I'm watching TV and it'll take me back to the home menu. I can still launch another app. I just can't navigate channels with the voice stuff. Which I understand is the same situation the UK's in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of a letdown.
But isn't it like, first and foremost, it's a games console.
Yeah.
So not having that integration wouldn't really bother me too much,
I guess, because part of my reason for the Xbox One, or wanting an Xbox One, was like selling it to my girlfriend that it's a bit more media orientated, like, there are actually more apps on it. Like we can use there's a cable app and stuff, so we can watch on demand stuff on it, which is good because the actual menus on the cable box to watch the on demand stuff are horrendous. Like it runs really slow. You can never find anything you want. So now we can do that with that app instead. But then it's better integration than on the Xbox. Yeah, like those apps don't exist on PS4 and they didn't exist on PS3. I don't think over here.
Right.
Like I know in the UK there's like the Now TV app and stuff, but there was nothing like that over here for PS3. Just Netflix and
Because the Wii U is actually, it still doesn't play DVD movies, which so really it's just a games. You can get Netflix on it and stuff like that, but
Did you not see? I can't remember where I read it this week, but they have now hacked the Wii U gamepad and using it as a PC monitor.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time, wasn't
it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the Wii is different. They must have taken that decision because you have to pay a royalty fee to there's like 4 or 5 companies that are in like the DVD conglomerate, and you have to pay a licensing fee. So Nintendo obviously don't want to pay that to keep their costs down.
Well, the Wii didn't use DVD movie either.
But can, if you... there's nothing to stop it from playing them. If you hack it, then it will play them.
Yeah,
but it's still a DVD drive at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But no, don't hack it. It's not worth it.
No, I don't. I wouldn't be interested anyway, So.
No.
You can play Netflix anyway, so...
Yeah, what else do you need?
Do it. Yeah.
So that was my really big purchase, or purchase for me, more like. So that's kind of like, I have been playing bits and bobs. It's been busy over Christmas. Like I said, I haven't really touched Dead Rising 3. I've played quite a bit of FIFA Online. And then I've played maybe 10 hours of Forza so far, 8-10 hours, and it's really good. I'm not into sim racing games usually, but it has just enough accessibility, like the different options you can add, that I have found it enjoyable, where I can still get something out of it.
How have you found the vibration on the triggers?
Weird.
It's like you've got an electric toothbrush under your finger.
Because the other night I was sat in bed playing it, and I didn't have the sound on very high, but the controller was going, and I was like, well, the sound's not going to keep anyone away, but this thing is. Like, it vibrates a hell of a lot.
Yeah, you can switch that off.
Yeah.
If it annoys you.
The weird thing is, though, that's actually one weird feature. There isn't an option in the settings menu, like on a system level, to turn off Rumble. Each individual game has to offer it. Which is really weird, because some games you can't turn it off on, apparently. Battlefield 4 being one. I was reading in a forum earlier. People complaining, and it's stupid. So yeah. But Forza is one you can switch it off on. So I've been really enjoying Forza. Some of the guys from last year's Year of Shame have been playing Forza, and you have the driver tar feature where it like pulls through your driving style and mimics it. And when I was asking you earlier about Grid 2, about how they stick to the racing line, like none of that exists with the driver tar thing. It's insane. Terry's driver tar, Fox Hunter, worst driver tar ever. You'll be driving nowhere near it and it'll suddenly go for you. So I sent him a message saying, your driver tar, what a knob. And he was like, yeah, he said he's had people sending him messages defriending him because of it and stuff, because it's too much to deal with. But it's really good. It does, like, you'll see other cars taking each other out when you're not even involved and stuff, or you'll see like cars spinning off and doing stuff, and they don't stick to the driving line, because I guess people are realizing if you stick to the driving line, you're more likely to crash, because everyone does. So you do get people deviating off and stuff. And there are some events where it doesn't use the driver tar. It's like past like 20 cars, and the AI is rubbish by comparison. It is like they're on a rail. So I've kind of been sold on the power of the cloud, pulling all these profiles out and stuff. And it's nice, like it gives a name to everyone. Like you're playing multiplayer without playing multiplayer and still having those experiences. So Terry's driver tar I had, I was just driving along and it just rammed another car out of the way. So I shouted Xbox, record that, and then I've got the 30 seconds of his driver tar being an absolute idiot, knocking people left, right and centre. So then I shared that on the thing, and so it's good. There's lots of like social hooks in your games. Doesn't always work though. FIFA 14 is quite annoying. For some reason, it records every save your keeper makes, where if he doesn't catches it, like if he punches it out, but it doesn't automatically record any goals or anything. So you'll have a game where if you were getting hammered and your keeper made 1 million saves, you'll have like 20 recordings of your keeper making saves. So it's a bit weird. So that's my Xbox stuff. I also picked up Fallout 1, Fallout 2 and Tactics free from GOG.com. Because the license expired on them apparently, so they were giving them away for free to say thank you. 1 and 2 are games that I've finished in the past.
They're isometric ones, aren't they?
Yes, the old Fallout games are isometric, but still surprisingly similar to like Fallout 3, like plot-wise, thematically, and like how the leveling up works. You'd be surprised how similar they are. But the isometric stuff, and like it has like a fog of war, so everything's like black. It makes it a lot harder. I tried to go back and play one a couple of years ago and couldn't believe how difficult it was. Couldn't believe I'd actually finished it all them years ago. Another of those. What else have we got? Oh, I won $5 of Z coins for Blacklight Retribution on PS4. Not having a PS4, I gifted them to Cookie Man, who sent us a tweet. Either last episode or the episode before.
Yeah.
So that's just their in-game currency. I was watching a stream and they just gave them away to random users that were commenting and stuff. I got awesome notes from Gopher on the N Europe forums. He's one of the guys I've done Extra Life with in the past. It was like a 4-pack that was on sale, so he bought the 4-pack and he gifted me one of the copies, which I'm actually pretty pleased about because I used to have it on PS Plus, and then now my Plus has subsided. So I have awesome nuts again, and there's lots of people playing it on Steam, actually, lots more than there were on PS3. Am I done? No. Oh, I got 4. We did Secret Santa with my girlfriend's friends and stuff, and it was meant to be a £25 limit, but then I went to go and look how much was on the voucher because the guy hadn't written how much was on, and I actually got a $30 voucher, which I already went and used on Best Buy Online. I ordered Batman Arkham Origins, but it's not arrived yet, so we can't talk about that.
Done very well.
I did very well. It was a good Christmas, but I do feel I'll talk about it when we get to thoughts and feelings. I have some reservations about it all, kind of, so to speak.
Guilt, is it?
Not guilt, just we could go. Oh no, it's missing stuff now. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, great.
So, I think we all pretty much have the same theme for missing stuff. Yeah. Sales. Like, this is the worst time of year. So, Justin, you said on the notes New Year's sales. Was there anything in particular that you desperately wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned there that I picked up that PSN card from Morrison's.
Yeah.
They were doing a ridiculous sale. Now, I don't know if they've decided that they don't want to do games anymore, but they were selling, like, God of War Ascension off for £6. Like brand new.
They've done it before, though. I remember a few years ago when I was still in England, they did a random one where there was stupidly good games for like next to nothing. Like everyone was under £10.
Yeah. So I, if I was in a normal situation, I would have probably invested heavily at that point. But like I did consider. What about if I buy some games, but then take them straight to CEX and trade them in?
Mm-hmm.
And, for any game that's worth more on trading than it would be to buy it. And then I thought, well, no, because all I'm going to do if I got CEX points is then use them to buy games. Yeah. So I'm actually then breaking my own rules of the challenge. So I decided to just get my plus points.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, the January sale on PSN is. It has got some really good stuff on there for like about £3 or £4.
Wow. Okay.
So that's causing me a little bit of a itchy hand on wallet, but at the same point, I know it's doing me good to save the money.
Mm-hmm. I have the same problem. The Steam sale, out of my wish list of 25 games, 23 of them went on sale during the like multiple times as well, and because they're on your wish list, Steam email you every time. Like they don't just email you as well. When you open the email, the app opens on your phone, like ready for you to buy. They've made it so easy. But we're not talking like just a little bit discounted. Like there were some games that were like $1.74 and stuff, $3, and it was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was hard work. And then every time you open up Steam to play a game, like the store page screen comes up and it's like 12 days of Christmas. Here you go, get all these today, and it's like, oh, you are kidding me. So I think, yeah. I mean, the Xbox has been a good distraction because I haven't had to fire up Steam all the time since like the 25th. But other than that, what a nightmare. So, Colm, what problems did you have?
I was living the nightmare as well. But the Steam sale, the Steam sale for me, they had some really good games and some really good prices. But a lot of the games that they had, I bought last year, so I'm finally actually getting around to playing some of the games that I got, like in the last sale. So I'm happy enough with that. I was in GameStop there last week and I was just browsing as usual, and they had some really good, 3 for $20 type games like Tomb Raider and Defiance and stuff. So there would have been like 3 games in that section I would have pounced on, you know, but I didn't. So I'm happy with that because it's just there's just so many. There's only so many games you can play anyway, you know.
Yeah.
And when they Steam they're evil really because they come, oh look at this game, it's only £3, like, you know, what's £3 like? But you know, normally like last year, I think before the sale I had about 3 Steam games, and after the sale I had about 33 Steam games. So
well,
you know,
yeah, that's kind of what happened to me. I got my new laptop, and then the Steam summer sale happened. And I went from having about 20 Steam games to whatever it's at now, 100 and something. Yeah. And like that's when I started to think maybe I should do this year a shame thing because Steam is killing me slowly from the inside out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get what you mean.
So I just you know stuck to my guns and didn't, you know. I was even like, you know, contemplating asking the missus to buy me the 3 games for £20. She's looking at me going, no, you're not doing that now. Stop it. So I felt like a school kid, you know. And then when we got home from town, she said, "Now, aren't you glad you didn't get them games?" And I go, "Yeah, I suppose I am."
Yes, dear. Yes, I am. And,
yes,
and the severely clenched fist I've got does not argue that.
No. But I mean, you know, it's just repetitiveness. You do the same thing every year. You go in, you run in, buy 3 games for £20. 6 months later, you still haven't played them. So, you know, I saved myself £20.
That's 6 years.
I usually give myself 6 months to start a game. If I don't start it, then I trade it in. So no, I'm glad I you know, I didn't. So yeah, so that's all. And the Steam every day I'd vote for the Steam, you know, the next Steam, so I get my Steam Globes, you know.
Oh, was that way? I didn't even think to
trading card things, yeah. Yeah, I got about 7 or 8 Steam Globes.
Apparently, some of them are worth a lot of money. I had a guy send me a message the other day saying, "I noticed you've got a page of Steam cards. Do you want to sell them?" And I was like, "What?" And I've looked through, like, you slowly acquire them when you're playing games, and I've got hundreds probably. So there's a way to make money. But then you look at them, it'd take too much effort. Like, some of them only sell for like 10p and stuff, or 10 cents. So how long is it going to take me to get enough money to get a game, and I got to go through the rigmarole of listing each one, and it's not for me.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Okay, so fairly predictable what we've been missing considering the season. So we will go on to thoughts and feelings. And Justin, I guess we kind of hinted on some of your things and not other things. So what are your thoughts and feelings for this month?
Well, last month I said that I knew I'd discovered if I played a driving game, then the next game couldn't be another driving game, you know, and I pretty much stuck to that. But what I've found is that I don't think I get gamer burnout, but I finish a game and I'm like, yay, I finished the game. What shall I play next?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what particularly excites me. You know, it's not a case of like just what is the top game on the pack and then going from there. It's a case of like, well, I've got to be creative with this, and I think that's the reason why I played mostly games on the Vita this month, because I can just dive in and out of them really easily, and just focusing on one main game on the PS3. But I think probably going forward, I know I've got to start Assassin's Creed 2 because I'm beginning to go over my every other month, and it's difficult trying to keep focus and come up with a reason why you want to
play game
play the next game.
I've kind of had a similar thing. Like the last 3 games I've finished have been the Dig, Zelda and Papers, Please, and I've loved them all, and now I kind of don't really have a clue what to play next.
Yeah.
So I've been playing Forza and FIFA just to like waste time, but then that doesn't help the challenge.
Well, the other thing I found was like what we mentioned earlier. Some games can not actually be that bad, but aspects of them really, really annoy you to the extent where you start, ranting at the screen and, losing your voice from shouting, or you punch the chair or something like that. And it's not because you're necessarily failing at what you're trying to do. It's because the game isn't playing fair. With the obvious example of the drone drivers. Yeah. That if you hit a car and it spun out, then I'd feel a bit happier about the fact that when it touches me, I spin out.
Yes. But it's the fact that doesn't happen, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just hitting restart race so many times because I haven't, I've been taken out in the first corner, not because I've driven off the driving line, but because someone's driven through me. And they all drive off quite happily, and 4 corners further on by the time I actually managed to make my car face forward again. It can totally make you want to just walk away from the game, but my perseverance and stubbornness generally just goes, okay, turn the game off, watch TV for a bit, go and read a book, then come back later and have another go.
But then does the game not feel like a hard slog then? Does it not become a pain, an annoyance more than an enjoyment?
Well, yes. No, what I was going to say is, like, with Grid, the way I felt was that it wasn't so much that it had one severely high spike in difficulty and then it all was easy after that. It kind of like it goes slowly up and then it'd plateau for a while, and then you'd maybe have a slight increase in difficulty toward the end of that season, but it all pretty much boiled down to, once you've got unlocked the one car that you're going to be doing most of that season with, nearly every race you'll use the same car, then suddenly you can win by 10-15 seconds.
Yeah. And then it doesn't become fun in a different way.
Yeah, you've got to put up with the hassle of enduring the first few races and making it through in order to unlock it.
Hard slog.
Yeah. So I won't be giving games up if they start doing that to me again, but I'll definitely consider shelving the game and playing something else and then coming back to it later.
Yeah.
Rather than just, I'm playing this game, this is my game to focus on, which is what I'm doing at the moment.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Can understand that.
What have you been feeling with games then, Adam?
Okay. Feeling. Okay. I think my thirst for sales is done now. I don't think I'll ever possibly have that impulse again to just buy anything that's on sale. Like, it was hard to resist the things on my wish list because they're games I'm actually interested in. But then there was other things that went on sale and I was like, I could own that. Yeah, I could buy them, but I didn't. And I think, and then looking through, I've had the same thing where I finished those 3 games. I've been looking for something else to play. I've been looking through my Steam thing, and I'm like, God, I own some crap. Like, why did I ever buy this? And the sale and all that's made me realise, like, I'm done with buying crap just for the sake of it because it mildly interests me. I think I would do better research in the future.
And stick to buying to games that you actively want to play rather than you've heard other people talk about it, so you're intrigued.
Yeah. And like basically. So like my wish list is 25 games now. It was about 30 something, and I thought, right, I'm going to click through as much to stop getting the alerts about them from Steam. It was to just, right, I'm going to click through and see which of these games I've still and there were some games I don't even remember what they were. So they went off the list and stuff. So, but now the list is stuff I actually want. So that was my first thing. And then the second thing is, so Colm, you traded in stuff towards a Wii U, didn't you? A combination of hardware and games.
Yeah.
And had store credit, bought the Wii U plus some games. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I took to eBay just because I had a ton of, I have an old iPod Touch I don't use anymore. I have Smash Brothers Brawl that I don't play. and it was going for a decent price. I sold an old iPad Nano, and there was something else I sold. So I sold these things on eBay, and I now have the sum total of $185 sat in my PayPal. Not cash that I've ever had, not cold hard cash. So guys, where do you stand on this money potentially being used for purchases in the future? It's not cold hard cash. It's never been in my bank account. Is it credit?
I think last year's guys went on the approach that trading and selling, which gives you credit, can then be used to get new games with, because it's essentially exchanging one in, one out.
Yeah.
It's not going off and spending money that you earn in your paycheck.
Yeah. And that's not money that was ever accounted for in my saving equations for the next 12 months for the wedding, by my logic. So, I just wanted to check that if next month I bought more games, you guys aren't going to tell me off.
As long as you're ordering them online.
Yes, through PayPal, yeah. Well, that's a good thing, actually. Like, Future Shop and Best Buy, the main 2 electronic stores, just started accepting PayPal through their website. And I think you can even use PayPal to pay for stuff and then still pick it up in your local store as well, which is kind of handy if I don't want to wait for the post, because the mail service here is ridiculously slow. Like, Batman should have been here days ago. I ordered it on, Christmas Eve. And where are we now? The 4th? Still not here. So, yeah. So I just wanted to check. How do you feel, Colm? Do you agree with Justin?
Well, I'm hardly going to...
I don't know. You might have a different...
beat you over the head. No, yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me.
I'm going to add to my spreadsheet a PayPal counter so it can be seen where the money went for complete transparency.
Come on now, we don't distrust you that much.
But we've all got these little spreadsheets going with keeping track of who's playing what and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
It's fair enough.
Okay. So that's...
sorry, can I just ask you?
Okay.
So your Batman, the new Batman, that's on the 360 then, is it?
PS3.
Oh, PS3,
yeah. Because I got that voucher, and then I went online to see how much it was, and I noticed Best Buy had a sale on. So it was half off. It was $30. It was between that or Saints Row 4. And I decided to go for Batman.
Cool.
So yeah. So Colm, you've got a few thoughts you'd like to share with us?
I'm just glad that I didn't succumb to the sales, and I'm actually pretty content with my lot now at the moment, even though that sounds like I'm a hypocrite because I have a Wii U and all that, but no, I'm happy. Just, I don't have any more stuff to sell. I don't have any more games to trade in. I've hit the bottom of my pile, and so my next struggle is to stay away from town, basically.
Yeah.
My wife's gone into town. Usually on a Saturday, she'd go in and get her hair done, and I'd just pot around the shops or whatever and have a look, but I just didn't go in today, so... Just, there's no point in tormenting myself. I go into HMV and I say, oh, look at all them lovely games there.
Yeah.
That's the point, so there isn't a point really, and, I used to love shopping, but just don't be arsed anymore.
Yeah, I've kind of done. I think I said about it last month how we go to the mall, and while she's in a lot of these shops, I'll often go into the game stores. Now I've had to change what I did, but then that's when I came out buying all new clothes and stuff because I've just had that itch to buy something.
Yeah.
I was I need some new jeans. Here's 2 cool t-shirts, and then it's a bit redundant at that point, but yeah.
And it helps that I'm smashed after the Christmas anyway. So.
Yes, me too. It's going to be a long January.
So it's going to be very long, yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, so finally, guys, we're going to wrap up with our listener mail. Who wants to read the big, long letter? I can, or if anyone wants to.
Go for it.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so it's from our good friend Dodgy123, Matt, who we will remember last month was sat twiddling a copy of Lego Marvel in his hands, deciding whether to open it or give it to his nephew unsealed. And we also found out he's obsessively, compulsively looking at stock checkers, trying to see where PS4s were and pre-ordering them and then cancelling it and pre-ordering it and cancelling it.
Yeah.
He has been back in touch with another lengthy email, and it's been a ride along December as well, it would seem. So, hi guys. I managed to leave Lego Marvel alone and gave it to my sister to avoid temptation. Good man.
Yeah.
Well done.
I replaced it by buying a discontinued Lego Batman set from eBay to help my nephew complete his collection. This is unsealed, so I can build it without any guilt under the guise of checking all the pieces are there. I mean, yeah, okay, there's nothing more disappointing than going and putting a Lego set together on Christmas Day and his head's missing or something. I mean, sure. We'll let that one slide. Okay, the next thing. So, we'll have to read this whole bit, otherwise it sounds terrible. I also bought a PS4 last week, but it didn't end my year of shame. My brother-in-law got one launch day that was faulty, and instead of going through the repair process or waiting weeks for a replacement, I used my obsession with staring at and refreshing websites to get him one. I had the chance to hold the box, but sent it still sealed 300 miles away to Cornwall. I'm sure he wouldn't have minded me having a go, but I knew it would end badly if I did. So he's had quite the come around this month. I feel like he's grown with us over the month. Like he's realised the error of his ways and has become a new man, like a new generous man. Now I've managed to let that PS4 go. I think it's broken the spell, and I continue with my year of shame challenge with renewed hope in my ability to last the next 9 months. I did some very unsubtle hinting to my girlfriend, showing her the 5 out of 5 and 10 out of 10 reviews for Super Mario 3D World. Fingers crossed it'll see me well into the new year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Matt. I'm just going to say, as a child, I left out millions of reviews for Donkey Kong 64, like strewn around the house. And instead of getting a copy of Donkey Kong 64, my mum bought me a magazine subscription. That's got America's the all-time disappointments.
Yeah.
And then I didn't buy Donkey Kong 64 for years after.
Oh, gee.
That was
It's a tough old game.
Came with the memory expansion, wasn't it?
Yes, because it was like mandatory that you had it, yeah. The game wouldn't run without it. Okay, and we've got a few tweets, so whoever wants to take the first one by Kev?
From Drunk Rogue 68. It said, finally got around to listening to the second episode. See, it's all going well for you. # walk in the park. And that was following on from us saying that we were still, getting to grips and feeling each other out. No, I'm not going to say that. That sounds horrible.
What with you and saying that and me asking you if it was long and hard before? Jesus. Okay.
Yes, we just made it. I think we've got a nice working relationship now.
Yeah, with, 3 months in.
With us getting up early in the morning and Adam rushing home late at night to record.
Yep. Okay. If that's how you feel, then
it's all seamless.
Yeah. Okay.
Classic.
Colm, do you want to read Tatson's for us?
Tatson. Yeah, I just have to do.
Well, you don't need to say, is there a direct link for the episode?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate. He wrote, hey guys, thinking of 2014 being my year of shame, is there a direct download link? So I just wanted to reiterate to people that they can go to yoschallenge2.podomatic.com and all the episodes are there to download.
Cool. Justin Knowles, actually, he's only 17 days left. My year of shame will be over.
That was at the time he sent that, because he has finished it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Carry on. He's happy to see the light at the end of the tunnel. No big purchases planned, but give a small list of games to continue. Post Xmas Fallout, Dragon Age 2
that's his
PS3.
list of games, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wizardry 6 to 8 on Steam. $1 on an indie bundle, 5 games. 2 to 3 indie games on Steam. Overall, I mostly picked up games I'd been keeping an eye on. total Steam spend $11. That's quite good.
Yeah, and he's put $11 US because Australian dollars are
Australian
joke currency. It's something like, well, I know I bought some games for him. You said about Morrison's doing their stupid sale before.
Yeah.
I remember I bought a bunch of games on his behalf and then shipped them off to Australia for him, and the conversion rate was just
still
ridiculous.
Beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they are very games in Australia are mad prices, aren't
It's
they?
notorious. Yeah, it's like £80 each or something like that.
No, man. I thought it was bad here. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, there is actually another one as well. He did ask you, Justin, what's next now you're done with Grid 2?
Yes, and I said that I was going to be playing Touch My Katamari.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Yeah. Now. Okay, well, congratulations to Justin Knowles for finishing his Year of Shame, I guess.
Yeah, well done on
Fair play.
sticking to the rules.
Is that meant as a dig?
No.
Well, it's a big dig to both of us.
How dare you? How very dare you.
Oh, that's disgraceful. Paranoia setting in now.
What did he do? Like no purchases, anything for a year, and didn't trade anything or no plus, or I'm unsure. I didn't keep track of his.
Yeah, he pretty much just didn't buy stuff.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, congratulations. It's nice to see other people
That was really good.
being successful along the way, and I guess he's changed his spending habits if he only spent $11 in the sales. Good job. So I think that's it. We're done, guys.
There was one thing I was going to mention, actually. I mentioned earlier that I listened to the BRB Boom show where I'd called one of my XCOM characters after Josh Radden.
Yeah.
And before it was called Big Red Barrel, they used to do Sarcastic Gamer. And
I used to listen to that.
In Sarcastic Gamer, there was a lady called Esmeralda, and I follow her on Twitter. And 13th December, she put out a guide, like her own blog post, of how to tackle your pile of shame. And,
okay.
And so I'd read it through it, and I tweeted on behalf of YoS saying, this is the sort of thing that we like to stick to. It does go on with a couple of different things. The main sort of subject headers is make a list, set a schedule, know when achievements and trophies are worth it. Obviously, don't go grinding out
Grid 2.
Reach level 45 on Motorstorm Apocalypse if it takes you 27 hours to do it. Know when achievements and trophies are worth it. It's dangerous to go alone. Make sure you have a co-op buddy. Either that or someone who can, take over the game and play on the couch while you sit there. So although you're not actively controlling the game, you're still experiencing it. And
all right.
Seriously, ditch the games you'll never go back to.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I will I'll actually read the paragraph that she's written there, which says, it may be hard to accept, but you won't finish all of those games. If you're too busy now, your life is just going to continue to get more occupied, which is why it's time to accept the inevitable. There are simply some games you will never go back to, games you'll never finish. Maybe you lost a save file worth 20 hours of hard work. That happened to me with Final Fantasy 13. Just as I opened up the area where the game actually starts, my original launch PS3 died.
Oh god!
Oh dear.
Was this before the days of cloud saving and stuff?
Yeah, it was before I had a cloud save. Yeah.
Oh god!
And just the thought of redoing all those missions is enough to put the game off for another day, or in my case, 3 years. Or maybe Final Fantasy 8 gets better at the 35-hour mark, but getting to that point sounds grueling. Sorry, that's Final Fantasy 13. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it opens up. I remember hearing about it when it came out.
Yeah, and that was the point. It wasn't the 35-hour mark for me. It was about 20 hours. But yeah, it's that was the point it stopped. No matter how many times you convince yourself, you'll eventually find the time for every single game in that pile. When you factor in all the future games you're going to get, it's just a lost cause. Ultimately, sell the game or gift it to a friend, because something that may just be gathering dust in your home may bring great joy to another. And that's rewarding enough. And
nice way to look at
it. If you'd like to read it, I'll put a link in the show notes. But it's basically Esmeralda IP, so ESMERALDAIP.com. Tackle-your-pile-of-shame.
Okay. Sure. Thanks. I'm definitely going to read through it, actually. See what people are saying in comments and stuff. Yeah, maybe even post it on the Facebook page.
Well, there was only one comment on the page. It says, "Thanks. Thanks for this. I've been very much at peace in not playing for trophies and achievements. That said, I do appreciate both, if only to provide some record that I've actually that I've beaten a game." Sorry, cool. it put their name halfway through the post, so it was a bit like,
oh. You got knocked off kilter a bit.
Yeah, so that was honourable mentions for us this month. Well, not for us, but by us.
Cool.
For the cause.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we're
Thank you very much.
Done. Just to remind people, as always, they can find us on Twitter, which has been really good. It's at YoS Challenge 2, and we've had plenty of people tweeting us questions and stuff and joining in conversations, and other people being redirected towards us saying, why don't you try a year of shame?
Yeah, I was actually going to say that.
That was...
Go on, sorry.
Was that... Desmond was one of them.
Well, it's Dan Ragnar was pimping us, but we've had a few people actually saying, why don't you try doing a year of shame? There's a couple of guys doing it, and a couple of people have jumped on board, sort of saying it's actually, doing it for the same similar sorts of reasons. And if you're starting a year of shame challenge now in January, trying to go through all of 2014 without buying games, then good luck, and let us know if you've taken up the challenge.
Yeah. Yep. This is all true. And just a quick plug for the Facebook page. It's facebook.com/YoS Year 2.
And make sure you're following Adam on Twitch to keep updated when he's trying to battle through his Year of Shame challenge online.
Yep. So I'm trying a few different things. Sometimes I'm going to try it where I'm going to try and have the user interaction and present a show, so to speak. Other times I'm just going to have the game running full screen so people can just watch me playing. So I won't be talking as much, but people can still watch and see what I'm up to. It's a nice little way to keep track of things. So that's Flameboy84 over on Twitch.
Cool.
And without further ado, guys, I think we will say goodbye.
All right. Goodbye.
Thank you very much for listening. Cheers, Em.
Cheers.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Cheers.